Screw it, family. You know how I do. Let's just go ahead and get started. I hate getting started on CPT time anyway. Everyone, welcome to your sucker-free, Sunday broadcast. First of all, want to shout out to everybody who's here watching live right now. This brother Chris, Darker Visions. August is in the house. Brother Thomas, what up? Welcome to the broadcast. I want to thank all of you for your patience with me. I haven't been feeling very well the last few days, and so I didn't do Sucker Free Saturday yesterday. Y'all know how much I love it, but I just couldn't call it. And so, by the way, for all of you who asked about my health, asked how I was doing, I can't thank you enough. I really love your support, and your kind words definitely helped to go a long way towards helping a brother feel a bit better. Brother Albert in the house, welcome to the broadcast, brother. It's good to see you. Um, Family, I there's my man, brother Dave. There's my nephew. Dave in the house, welcome to the broadcast. Before I get started, I want to do a few shout outs. Shout out to Cassius, Nola Boy hit, right? Yeah. Cassius is my latest sub. Thank you for that. I appreciate it. We're nearly at the 1,000 mark. Yeah, Dave, I'm okay, man. I've got a few health issues I'm working on. Nothing where I'm dying or anything like that, but there are times when I'm not, not feeling too hot. And I still try to broadcast. Believe it or not, family, there's times when I come on and broadcast and I'm absolutely feeling like crap, but I'm so fired up, so motivated to talk with you, to give you information or whatever, that I just go ahead and do it anyway. You know what I'm saying? But I just couldn't call Sucka-Free Saturday yesterday. I didn't even do a morning Joe on Friday too. So last couple of days have been rough, but I'm on the upswing. So while I got it, I'm gonna call it right. You know what I'm saying? Also, I had three folk purchase ADOS, Black Sheep, Angry Black Sheep mugs. And I want to thank you, for the support. I really do appreciate it. And Dave, you're right, man. I know that the fan, I need y'all just as much as y'all need me, believe it or not, man. Like when I'm not broadcasting or when I'm not talking to the family, it's a wrap for me. I'm my whole day just doesn't go right. You know what I'm saying? So hell yeah, Chris. I just turned 46 in January, boy. And there's days when you be like, these am right. You know what I'm saying? You can't call it like you used to. The mind is willing, but the body be weak. You feel me? All right. So family, got the shout outs out the way. Let's get started. Double C in the house, brother Cease. Welcome to the broadcast. What I want to talk about today is a subject that came up while I was on my hiatus. And I think it's a subject that is going to be controversial. So before I get into it, the first thing I want to say is that there are going to be people that I reference during this broadcast who I have no personal animus toward, okay? That I actually have a great deal of esteem for, okay? However, some of the behaviors that I'm going to reference do directly reflect on how these people are tending to operate. And I can see as we move forward with our advocacy that unless something changes around this type of behavior, that it's going to become a problem because of a whole host of things that I'm going to address during this broadcast. So specifically what I want to talk about today is the idea of who's in charge or who controls this transformational moment, right? Now, I've mentioned quite often to all of you that my personal view is that I have people that I see as strong advocates for our interests as ADOS folk, right? I've specifically mentioned Yvette Carnell, aka Breaking Brown. I've mentioned Antonio Moore, aka Tone Talks. I've mentioned Jason Black, Professor Black Truth. I've mentioned quite a few different people that while I don't agree with them on everything, I feel that we are all kind of different voices, but bringing folk to the same place, right? The same area. All right. So, because of this, I have had a tendency to be very, for lack of a better way to say it, conciliatory when it comes to potential disputes, potential differences. I try to minimize my differences with these individuals and I try to maximize my advocacy of the areas in which our interests align as advocates for ADOS people and ADOS interests. All right. So, with that said, I was on Twitter the other day, and somebody mentioned. By the way, I've got people who watch me who are from Twitter. So if you are people that I see on Twitter, go ahead and shout yourself out in the chat so I can give you some love. But I saw a tweet the other day that indicated that someone had started an ADOS app. Right now, um, I personally think that that's a pretty cool thing. I know that people have various issues with applications. Like, is that like some government tracking shit? Is Google won't steal my information and so on and so forth. So black folk already have suspicions when it comes to applications, right? Thank you, Darker Visions. Was it Jason? Oh, yeah, Jason, you're got you. Okay, Darker, you're Jason. Yes. Pleasure to finally get to chat with you in person. So, Jason, you're familiar then with the thread that I'm going to reference, right? I'm certain that you saw the thread where it was discussing. By the way, shout out to Brother LaShawn. Um, that was referencing this new application, right? This ADOS app. Now, when this application was tweeted, right? Somebody noticed it and tweeted it. I think it was actually the developer of the application decided to get it some exposure, right? So they tweeted it and let people who are ADOS know what's up. Now, subsequently, what you saw was that Antonio mentioned that ADOS doesn't have an app. Okay, right? I I get what he's saying. At least I think I get what he's saying. It's hard when you're reading text to kind of get context on shit. But essentially, he was saying this is not like an app that either I or Yvette has developed. All right, fair enough. So you then had this debate, if you will, about people utilizing ADOS, the hashtag, as well as just our general advocacy for ADOS, and in some cases being remunerated for it. All right. Now, you guys all know where I stand as far as remuneration utilizing ADOS. I do have products that I offer as tangibles for support for people who want to support my advocacy, my work on this channel that do have the hashtag ADOS. Okay? I consistently mention ADOS. I mean, my channel is essentially all ADOS all the time. As you guys know, I've got my ADOS hashtag coffee mug with a quote from MLK. And then it says, remediation, restoration, and repair. And it's also got my channel logo on it, right? The Angry Black Sheep. I also have two other things that I have on offer that both have ADOS on them, right? I have a shirt that says ADOS, right, with the American Descendants of Slavery. And I also have this mug here that I did. Now, everyone who watches my channel knows that I have done two things consistently. Number one, I have indicated that this is not in any way authorized, supports or advocates for anything that Yvette or Tone is doing. Okay? So, in other words, I've used verbiage like this is unofficial ADOS merchandise. And I've also made sure to mention that when such time comes that Antonio and Yvette have their own merchandise for offer, that if you want to represent ADOS, I would encourage you to purchase their goods, right? Their merch. Okay? Anyone, if they can find anything that I said, anything different, you pop it in the chat and let the people know. I have always mentioned that yes, while I have ADOS on my stuff, because I am an ADOS person and I want to represent, there was no merch out there for me. Believe it or not, I created the merch because we were all looking for some tangible thing, something that we could hold on to that shows our solidarity with each other in the real world. Not just watching YouTube videos and hitting the thumbs up and all of that. Sure, that shows solidarity, but we wanted to have something that was a conversation starter, that was an icebreaker. Trust me, you see somebody see you sitting this on your desk at work, or see you your family come over and they see your Angry Black Sheep cup and the hashtag, it's gonna start conversation. Shout out to Terry and Thomas, by the way. Welcome to the broadcast. Is the ADOS trademarked? No, it's not. And more importantly, I don't believe that you can trademark a hashtag. In other words, there may be a trademark that's associated with a particular phrase or acronym, but unless that phrase or acronym was trademarked prior to use as a hashtag, I don't, as a matter of fact, listen, I'll be honest, I'm a paralegal. I haven't studied everything around trademarking of hashtags, but I don't believe that you can trademark a hashtag. But that's an important question, but not the important question. And I'm not trying to slight you, right, Chris? You know that. That's a good question, but not the most salient, right? Not the most important question that derives from this whole conversation. You feel me? Now, there were various people who were saying, anybody other than Antonio and Yvette that is receiving remuneration. Peace, Brother Barshawn. Welcome to the broadcast. Anyone other than Antonio and Yvette who is receiving remuneration by the use of ADOS, right? Whether it's the hashtag or just simply the acronym or the phrase American Descendants of Slavery, are essentially opportunist, thieves who's stealing food out of Yvette and Tone's mouth, right? And then there were others who said, wait a minute, this idea, right? This stratagem of using ADOS to tie us together, while some people might make some remuneration on it, the level of exposure that it gives the idea to our people and to our opponents, right, our detractors and enemies, is worth having the idea spread as far as possible, even if some people make remuneration from it, right? Now, where I came down before today was on the side of those who said, hey, yes, I do offer merchandise for support of my advocacy, right? That has ADOS on it. But I'm perfectly willing to fall back, in a sense, right? Should there be any so-called official merchandise, right? And Christopher, I think the same, right? Like, it would be one thing if I was, and I don't like to use the term because I believe if I'm providing you with a service, right? If I'm providing you with information, with content, and so on and so forth, you should support your interests. That being said, it would be one thing if I was just constantly hammering on you guys, leave me a tip, donate, donate, donate. But you weren't getting anything in return for your support other than the content. But I not only offer the content, but I offer you merchandise, something tangible that you can hold in your hand that, shows solidarity with the angry black sheep, right? As well now as ADOS. So you can represent your lineage and our transformational moment, right? And I would agree with you that I do have to make it. I've mentioned multiple times that I'm unemployed. And unlike what many of you may think, I'm not making grand theft loot on every broadcast. I'm going to give you guys some numbers, right? Because I believe in transparency, right? So you'll have an idea out here, what type of remuneration I'm making and whether or not this should be even an issue. But I said that, Christopher, I would get to the most important question. And so here it is. Who is it that owns this idea? Right? Because the answer to that question has the potential to either unify a whole heap and gob of us, or it will cause the same type of atomization that we're used to experiencing as ADOS people. I have continually given credit for the creation of the hashtag to Yvette Carnell, aka Breaking Brown, and Antonio Moore, aka Tone Talks. There are people that have grabbed this idea and embraced it. Do I believe in such a thing as being too transparent? I'll let you know when I figure it out. See, good question. Um, Branding is important, but here's the thing: is ADOS a brand? Right? We're essentially talking about an idea. Right? Now, can ideas be marketed? Yes. We are aware of that all the time. Like we call peace, by the way, brother Tony. Welcome to the broadcast, brother. It's good to see you. We black people are so used to branding that we actually use brand names in replacement for general use items. Like how many black folk call diapers Pampers, right? Because Pampers has become the name that we have associated with diapers, right? You see what I'm saying? So, yes, you can use names and branding for products that you're marketing. The question I have though is that this is this something that first of all should be a brand in the marketing sense? Right? Like people can and will use ADOS and have since they've discovered it a means by which to gain some degree of remuneration, right? Whether it's creating a shirt. And let's be frank here, okay? No shade to Yvette and Antonio. But if this was really such an important thing, such an important issue for them, I would have imagined that right out of the gate, as this thing started to take off, they would have already had in place some sort of official channel of merchandise, products, and so on and so forth. I seen Antonio wear a hoodie that had the ADOS logo on it, right? As soon as I saw that hoodie, I was like, God damn, I really want one of those. But there was no way to acquire one, right? He was hit up like, yo, Tone, how do I get one of those hoodies, man? No answer, right? So, again, I would assume that if marketing or branding in the sense of a marketing a product was of paramount importance to both Antonio and Yvette, that they would have had some vehicle to have that in play right from the get-go. Okay? I mean, I'm trying not to throw any type of shade here. So please don't attack me and say that I'm talking shit on Antonio and Yvette. I am not. I'm just simply discussing this topic because this topic is pedantic and as inane as it seems, actually has a great deal of potential to cause a good deal of harm to the movement. As y'all say, I don't call it a movement, right? It's our lineage, it's our ancestry. Like I no more thought when I created this mug that I was putting a marketing strategy on my lineage than I thought that the moon is made of green cheese, right? For me, it was a method of being able to offer tangible support or tangibles to the people who come and support my work, my advocacy as an ADOS advocate and potential influencer, right? And also a way for us to show solidarity with each other, right? I've mentioned nothing but that from the beginning. That for us, for the angry black sheep, any product that I offer is for solidarity for us as angry black sheep and ADOS, proponents and allies. Okay. So the first issue that I had with all of the situation around this so-called marketing of ADOS products was the fact that it didn't seem that Antonio and Yvette had really given it much thought. I would assume that if it was of major importance to them, there would have been some mechanism or some vehicle that they would have made clear right out of the gate that, hey, anybody who's proponents of ours, we got merch coming, hold your horses. We know y'all want to represent, but, slow your roll. We're going to have it on the way or something along those lines. That didn't happen, right? So, hey, peace, producer. Welcome back, man. Um, the second issue that I found that I had was I get that so Barshawn, to fill you in very briefly, because I don't want to keep going a bit, but essentially there was a Twitter thread where someone had came out with an app, an ADOS app, and there was responses back and forth from Antonio Moore, I think Yvette chimed in, and other people who are proponents of the ADOS, hashtag and so on and so forth, by Yvette Carnell and Antonio Moore, and we're discussing what I believe is something that needs to be discussed around this topic. Okay, I know it seems a little vague, but trust me, I always get to it. The second thing that I had an issue with, and I didn't have an issue with it until today, after having slept on it and given some thought. The second thing I have an issue with is that, in a way, me having to claim that my merchandise is unofficial gives an imprimatur to Antonio and Yvette. And Herbert, again, I probably missed it, right? I'm saying I didn't see it, right? So let me be clear. I did not see that that was the case. Not saying she didn't say it. I didn't see it, okay? And not only that, but explain to me, if you will, how it is that I or anyone else that you guys engage with, that you work with, that you listen to, that you watch, who are ADOS advocates, right? They're all of their information is organized or oriented toward ADOS folk, about ADOS issues, like such as the different struggles we got going on, the different advocacy movements that we're making, and so on and so forth, right? Why is it not okay for them to find some means or method of support without being accused of being in some way opportunistic? In other words, when did we as ADOS people, or to be more precise, those of us who are ADOS advocates in of ourselves, in our own right, like Antonio and Yvette are not paying me, right? And I'm not saying I desire any remuneration from them, but they're not paying me. I'm not asking them to pay me. I'm simply providing information, data, content, and offering my subscribers products, some of which have ADOS on it, some of which have my logo, my logo and whatever on it, right? So, but when did I or anyone else say that we can't do this? In other words, why is it that Yvette and Tone feel as if perhaps they can dictate to other individuals who may just be looking to do what I was doing, which was simply providing tangibles for support, and also with pushing the hashtag, with getting people to say ADOS, to getting them to talking about it, to getting us to start standing in solidarity. I'm not certain that I can truck with that. So let me share with you what happened. I mentioned that I believe that people should, in some way, and again, this was me attempting to be conciliatory, right? Not trying to cause any rifts, any breaches, and so on and so forth, right? I mentioned that people should probably state that their merchandise is unofficial, right? In other words, it's not tied to Yvette and Tone, and that they should be willing to maybe fall back or offer different types of merchandise should there be official merchandise. And see, CC's, that's where we need to get to. That's where we need to get to. Because I think that you're more right than you know. Right? In other words, this whole idea around people marketing products that have ADOS hashtags on it or the phrase American descendants of slavery on it and things like that seems to have caused this rift because between Antonio and Yvette, they have an ownership or they feel some sort of ownership of the hashtag and so on and so forth. And that is something that I think we need to all address. Can they truly claim to own this thing? Should they be the owners of this thing? Right? Because that's where I'm at, show enough. You can't copyright or trademark my lineage. I am grateful, beyond grateful to Antonio and Yvette for helping to provide us with political education, teaching us how to advocate for ourselves, and by creating a mechanism beyond which that we can organize, right? For the first time in forever, American foundational native as black folk, the descendants of the enslaved ones, right? We are the descendants of American slaves, have a means by which we can organize that cuts through all the bullshit. That cuts across the board, across social class, across everything. Everything. You feel me? Right? August said if that person is offering legitimate information on history, lineage, teaching compiled on one website, what could be the harm? That's a great question. That's a great question. And one of which came up for me in my perusing, going through my little mental journey on this issue. Right? Now, I will fully admit that I can already voice an objection to what I'm saying here. Because I am one of those people that are offering products, I have an interest in arguing that people should offer products. But even if I were not offering any product at all that had ADOS on it, I still believe that people are going to support. Okay, so Professor Black Truth speaks quite often on ADOS, right? There's my man Otis. Please, peace to you, brother. Peace and community first. Welcome to the broadcast. Each of us have different individuals that are talking about ADOS issues and so on that we subscribe to, that we like, that we enjoy. And each of them come at this thing from a different perspective, a different pattern, right? A different way. That being said, however, I would no more try to tell Tariq how to market his shit than I would expect him to try to tell me how to do mine. That is not to say I can't collaborate with him. That is not to say that where our interests align, I can't talk about Tariq or, support what he's doing. It just simply means that he's not doing advocacy for the love. None of us are. This is the thing that I really would like to get out on the table. I have been accused of being, here we go right here. She said, I want money. And name me somebody who's doing any type of advocacy or work who doesn't want remuneration, Jewel. So let me get this straight. I am supposed to do what I do, which is research on top of and outside of what Yvette and Antonio does, right? Which is advocacy on top of and outside of the advocacy that they offer, right? Which is discussing topics from a perspective that they may not discuss those topics from, and engage my machines, my resources, and all of that. But I'm supposed to just do it for the love, right? I'm supposed to do it as a mitzvah, as charity. But if Antonio and Yvette wants to be remunerated for it, that's okay. I'm not disputing that they should be remunerated. As a matter of fact, Jewel, if you've been watching any of my work, you would see quickly, and I do mean quickly, that I have consistently said that as soon as Antonio and Yvette have any merchandise available, that we should support their work by purchasing their merchandise. But here's the thing. I'm not gonna sit here and act like that I'm somehow supposed to be a monk, right? While everyone else who ties themselves to advocacy, to doing work, to doing research, to spending their time, their efforts, purchasing equipment. I just built a new $1,300 computer that I didn't ask anybody to donate any money on. That came out of my pocket. Right? This setup that I have here, I've had set up that I purchased, and I purchased this way back in 2015. Out of my pocket, out of my pocket. I didn't ask anybody for shit. Right? But at the same token, why is it that I should be muzzled? Right? I should be muzzled from somehow getting a bite from people who actually want to support me. That's the crazy part. It is not as if I'm saying, oh, and by the way, y'all, you know what I'm saying? I really appreciate y'all buying my shit. Don't fuck with them new niggas over there. That's not how this is going. I agree, sure enough, this should not even be an issue. I have come to the realization that is this. Jewel, yes, you have listened to me for information. It is an exchange. I provide you information, and if you so choose, you provide me with support, either through purchasing my merchandise or by leaving me a tip or whatever the case may be. Sure, the venue on which I provide this information is free, and you can watch it for free. Am I one of these people that continue to bash you if you don't contribute? I mentioned those who contribute. I appreciate the support from everybody, right? But the thing is this. Why is it that everyone else who is advocating for this has to somehow or another fall back when Antonio and Yvette dictate terms? Why should I not offer my subscribers merchandise, whether it has ADOS on it or not? Okay, so I could get rid of all of my ADOS merchandise or anything that has ADOS on it, fine. But I'm still going to speak on ADOS, and when people support me as they have and will financially, right, they're still going to support me for my ADOS advocacy. So at which point am I somehow violating this unwritten rule that I can't eat, but they should eat? That makes no sense whatsoever. It would be different if I was strictly advocating that people only support me, that they only mess with me. If you came on my channel and I didn't even mention Yvette or Antonio or anybody else that you watch as advocates for ADOS interests and advocacy, but I consistently do. And to have Antonio tell me that, well, a website's going up on Monday, so you can stop selling your shirts. He didn't back channel me. He didn't say, brother, hey, I think that's a cool idea that you were selling shirts, but guess what? We about to put out some shirts too, so make sure you tell your people about the products or merchandise that we have. You feel me? Like, there's ways and means of being able to do this, right? Support and advocacy and respect are exchanges. They're two-way streets. I have had nothing and still have nothing but Yvette and Tone's back. I have nothing but the utmost of respect and esteem for both of them. And that's a fact. Nothing about this thread that I read on Twitter or anything like that has changed my personal esteem for them. I still see them as strong proponents and advocates for our interests, and I still ride with them. but they are not perfect and they are not above reproach. And how Antonio felt the need to be able to dictate to somebody that he has never once appeared in any of my broadcasts. He has never once, as far as I'm aware, thumbs up a video. He has not subscribed to my channel. He has never once tip me or purchase any of my merchandise or anything like that. Meanwhile, every time he does a broadcast, even though I'm unemployed, I try to make it a point to throw the brother $5 or $10 to support him. But when he now has official merchandise available, I'm told to fall back. Plagiarism. How am I plagiarizing? Seriously. Yes, I want ADOS materials too. And the crazy part about it is, Jewel, is I don't give a damn who I get those ADOS materials from. If you were offering a piece of ADOS merchandise that I truly liked, that I truly resonated with, or provided you with some degree of financial support for whatever it was that you were doing, if I choose to purchase that, that's my business. It don't have nothing to do with hate for Antonio or Yvette or for me trying to dissuade people from purchasing their merchandise. I would never. But this thing is not about a brand. It really isn't about a brand. And to the extent that he felt comfortable enough with his ownership of ADOS to dictate terms to somebody he doesn't even know, that he has never tried to support, he doesn't know anything about me, and so on and so forth, I have a problem with that. I really do have a problem with that. Look, if Boyce was selling ADOS merchandise, I would be more inclined to purchase ADOS merchandise from him than shit on Bitcoins and flashcards or whatever the case may be. I do tend to consider the source of my purchases and things like that. I'm not a big fan of Boyce, so I don't even watch him, to be honest. So I wouldn't have no way of knowing if he was selling merchandise. But if Darker Visions, right, if Jason was selling merchandise, I know what Jason's on. And if Jason was saying, hey, by the way, I got some merchandise that I'm offering, show your love, right? It's got ADOS on it, it represents us, and it helps me out. You damn right I fucks with Jason. So it wouldn't even be a question about it. You see what I'm saying? The thing is, it's not about respect, because who is disrespecting? How is it? If somebody needs to explain to me logically, I'm not talking about with your feelings. On the Black Outcast Media Broadcasting channel, we don't give a fuck about your feelings. Bring me the data that shows that it is disrespect for someone other than Antonio and Yvette to market merchandise that has ADOS, whether the hashtag, the phrase, or American Descendants of Slavery on it. Explain to me how this is disrespect. That's all I'm asking. I'm not trying to justify a damn thing, because first of all, none of you are obligated to watch a single word that I say or provide me a single dollar. Those of you who have supported me, and don't worry, we're going to get into some numbers, right? I guess there is no such thing as too much transparency. So we're going to get into some numbers, right? So y'all can see how great I'm eating off of ADOS. Okay? How is it disrespect? Provide me the data. Show me the data. One of the things that Antonio and Yvette constantly teaches us is that you ground yourself in the data. Show me the data that indicates that this, if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be saying ADOS. Well, okay, and I've continued to give them credit for it. What do you want from me? I have never once said that I don't stand on the shoulders of giants. See, a lot of yous, Jewel, I think you might be new to my channel, because if you had been watching my broadcast, you would consistently see that I have been nothing but loyal to them, that I continually give them credit, that I continually give them respect. But I don't owe them anything more than my personal esteem and respect for their work, for their advocacy. If I choose to support them financially, which I do pretty much every Monday when Yvette does a broadcast, she's getting a super chat from me. When Antonio does a broadcast, he's getting a super chat from me. And like I said, I'm unemployed. But I'm the opportunist because I'm actually offering a means by which people can not only support me in my efforts, right? Zulu, welcome to the broadcast. By the way, shout out to Harold and welcome to the broadcast. I'm actually offering tangibles that people can use that they want for their support of my work, my advocacy, which is alongside and separate to, it's my advocacy, not Antonio's or Yvette's, right? Again, where the hell is the disrespect? Where the hell is the problem? Right? Because think about this one, family. You got to understand, while you think this is a non-issue, the idea of ownership is going to continually come up until it is definitively addressed. Antonio and Yvette are advocates for ADOS interests, ADOS education, and so on and so forth, just as I am. Would I be doing this necessarily if they hadn't helped me to get to this point? Absolutely. Because I was doing something similar to this in a more Pan-African vein for 3 years as Mark Black here on YouTube. And I did not have my channel monetized, nor did I ask for anybody's money. Jewel, feel free to explain what you mean by your means of approach. Suspect and questionable how. You're throwing out all these emotive terms, but you are not providing any information. If you have anything that you can provide that suggests that my motives are anything but to provide solidarity while at the same time offering people who support my channel and my advocacy and my work the opportunity to do that, then provide it. Otherwise, man, miss us with the emotional shaming language. I'm saying it doesn't matter if you feel that I'm suspect or questionable. Where is your information? Have you heard, or you can go back to any of my content. If you find anything that indicates that I am doing nothing but what I'm doing, which is advocating for ADOS people, speaking on topics that are salient, important to ADOS people, providing data and information that is ADOS people, it's up to those people if they want to support me or not. It's up to them if they want to purchase merchandise, whether it has ADOS on it or not. I don't see where the hell this is a problem, except if this is about ownership for Antonio and Yvette. Because if it is about ownership for them, I got a problem with that. I definitely have a problem with that. Explain to us all, using the data, using common sense and logic, how in the hell that Antonio and Yvette have a claim on our lineage that I do not. How is it that, okay, so yes, they came up with the hashtag, and I've continually said they've came up with the hashtag. So I've never once denied their work. I also have never denied that they are advocates for our people and our tribe. They are seminal in this modern transformational movement that we have going on. Seminal, meaning they started it. But at the same token, I'm not a fucking member of a movement. My lineage is not a movement. My heritage is not a movement. It is who I am. I could no more divorce being ADOS from anything else that I am. I'm 5'10". I'm medium brown skin. I'm nearsighted with an astigmatism in my right eye. I cannot divorce myself from these facts. And I cannot divorce myself from the fact that I'm ADOS. And I also cannot divorce myself from the fact that I, like any other person of a tribe, want to identify with other members of my tribe. Meaning that if there's a piece of merchandise or a shirt that I can rock or a hoodie that I can wear or a fitted that I can put on or whatever the case may be, then I want that. And I don't give a damn who provides it. Why not make merchandise off of it, Cassius? Let's just keep it a buck. Why not? Right? Nobody's, oh, thank you, Darker Visions. Look, you got Indians, right? Native American Indians or First Nations people who will make, rattles. They'll make feathers and, feather fans and shit like that, right? And so on and so forth, right? Nobody tells them that they can't market that stuff. They might even make shit from a completely different tribe. And that's cool. What concept? I don't have to originate the concept of lineage. I don't. And neither did they. They helped us to enumerate it. They helped us to speak it forth. And I've given them credit for that and continue to give them credit for that. And if they have merchandise that they're going to offer, I will be the first, one of the first to purchase, to support their efforts. I have continually supported them financially without asking them for a damn thing. I've not asked Yvette or Antonio for anything. So explain to me why it is that Antonio felt like he, not only that he could do it, but that he should tell me to not market any product that has ADOS on it. Where the hell is this idea that he owns it? And neither one of them originated the concept of reparations. Neither one of them originated the concept of identifying with your tribe or with your lineage. They came up with a hashtag that made it really easy for us to grasp that concept. And I respect the fuck out of them for that. They have my undying respect and esteem. I can't stress that enough. But they have not been the only ones. Dr. Claude Anderson. Some people who are members of my channel also follow Norris Shelton, right? The DOAS movement, right? I've got people who are across. I've got people who are members of the Nation of Islam who like my work, right? I got people who are Hebrew Israelites who mess with Black Outcast Media, right? I got people from all different walks of ADOS or Black life in the United States who follow me, who want to hear what it is that I have to say. You feel me? Like, again, I give credit where it's due. What else do I owe them other than that? Am I only to always just make sure that they're remunerated, but no one else can be? This isn't like they patented this shit, like they came up with some. I'm not trying to be pejorative here, but let's be factual for a change. Take your feelings out of it. Take your feelings out of it, right? Take the fact that you see them as your sole advocates or your sole proponents for ADOS thought, ideology, and so on. But how? Cassius says how it looks funny. How? How does it look funny? You keep using this shaming ass language, but you offer no damn data. You just keep trying to point at the fact that somehow or another what I'm doing looks funny. Looks funny to who? To you? Well, you're not obligated to be here, Cassius. I love having you here. I love any one of you who got an issue with me offering merchandise that might have ADOS on it to my subscribers. Please feel free to go that way. You motherfuckers don't have a problem with purchasing stuff that's made in China, right? That's not even made by ADOS people. But you want to sweat me for trying to somehow put data to suggest that what I'm doing is funny. You keep saying it looks funny. You see what I'm saying? You keep saying, I look suspect. I look like an opportunist. It doesn't matter if you said no disrespect, Cassius. The very fact that you're casting aspersions with no data is disrespectful. But I'm not going to even take it as such. I'm asking you and all the rest of us to take our feelings out of it and let's look at this thing before it becomes a major issue. Because I can guarantee you that trying to claim ownership of a concept, especially one that's already as incendiary as our lineage, come on, man. Come on. My feelings are in this whole conversation. Got you. Okay. So, what is it then that you want to talk about that's more important than the fact that ADOS might not even be something that I can talk about? Because, I mean, if we're going to address this or talk about this in an ownership model, right, then who is to say then that, you see what I'm saying? Who is to say then that I can even talk about this? Who is it that is to say that I can talk about this? That I can even talk about ADOS, right? At what point does my speaking about it somehow break this invisible line between me being an advocate and me somehow stepping on Yvette and Antonio's toes? That's a question I think that warrants discussion. And for those of you who feel that I'm being disrespectful, you have not provided any evidence to suggest that I've continually indicated that I have nothing but respect and esteem for both Yvette and Tone. I have an issue, a difference with them. I do not see them as my leaders. I don't. I don't see them as my leaders. I see them as fellow advocates. I see them as very strong proponents of the same type of thing that I'm after. And I support them in that endeavor. But I'm not following them. I am following my lineage. My lineage is my leader. Right? Our heritage is what drives me. The call for justice is what keeps me doing what I'm doing. I'm not making enough money selling merchandise to anybody as far as a few cups to cuss a cat over. I told you that I would give you some numbers. And I'm gonna go back around to something positive, black man. So stick around, brother. I appreciate your sentiments, your concern. You feel me? But last month I had quite a few purchases of cups, and I made a grand total of 53 bucks. This month so far I'm slated to make about 23 bucks off the sale of my cups. No one has bought an ADOS shirt, by the way. No, not a one. I'm the only purchaser of one. I have one to show it off. That's it. So, other than people, well, see, Thomas, think about this one, right? Why didn't I had already responded to Tone, right? I had responded to the issue at hand. He felt that he could tell me to fall back, right? Why didn't he? Like, everybody's asking me to somehow defer to Antonio in a way that they wouldn't ask Antonio to defer to me. Not saying that he owes me anything, but respect is a two-way street. If you're asking me to offer him respect, right, and deference and so on and so forth, then go ahead and have him give that same thing to me because he's not my leader. I'm not in a cult here. Not listen, before anybody runs off and says that I'm saying some ill shit, I'm not. I'm not saying ADOS is a cult. I'm saying I don't have a leader. This is a non-issue for me, right? For me, I believe that if people want to purchase something that supports somebody else's advocacy or somebody else's work, they should have the right to do so. And on top of that, if you want to make sure that you support Antonio and Yvette specifically, they are going to be offering official ADOS merchandise shortly, according to the information that I received. I think the website is going up tomorrow. Please make sure that you check out their merchandise. And if you find something that strikes your fancy, because I know I'm going to go check, I'm going to also make sure that I grab some merchandise too as well. All right. But to act like that I am eating fat off of ADOS. You know what I'm saying? Right? Black men, but if you notice, black men, if you notice though, black men, I have never stated that my merchandise is official anything. It's official Black Outcast Media broadcast merchandise. It represents me. It don't represent nobody else. You feel me? Nobody else. I'm not sitting here saying that Tone and Yvette shouldn't eat, right? I often say, muzzle not the ox while he treading out the grain, right? They should eat for their advocacy. I know because I feed them. You see what I'm saying? But what I'm saying is that you guys have to be real careful with the shaming language and throwing around these terms like opportunist and so on and so forth, because you only see people offering merchandise and stuff like that. You don't know your ADOS brothers and sisters situations. Some of them people might be hustling a t-shirt that says ADOS on it, but they got to try to, take care of their family. They may not be working. They may be on disability or have some other shit going on. Listen, I'm just saying that I don't think we should make this as strict as everybody's trying to make it. You see what I'm saying? Right? Jewel, okay, I'll ride with you. It's a matter, I'm going to read out what you said, and then I'll address it. It's a matter of respect, and I will keep my feelings involved. Stop trying to trivialize the subject by saying we are attacking you. Why do you feel you shouldn't be questioned? Great question. I don't feel that I shouldn't be questioned. What I do have an issue with is questioning me with no evidence. If he was selling black sheep merchandise, go right ahead. If it'll get more eyeballs and more views on my channel, Tone is welcome to sell any of my merchandise he wants. As a matter of fact, it wouldn't even bother me in the least because, again, I am not doing this just to get paid. Sure, would I like remuneration? Yes, I would. Would I like for you guys to tip me when I hit you off with some good information? Of course I would. Would I love it if you picked up a cup? Of course I would. There's links in the description field to books that link to Amazon. Books like Slavery by Another Name, that when you purchase them, you support me and my efforts. Would I like for you to do that? Of course I would. But am I caring that every broadcast I do or whatever the case may be? Come on now. No. I still am going to go ahead and advocate and do what it is that I do. Because I'm not solely doing it for the money, but I'm also not a fucking saint either. Stop trying to put me on some sort of platform or pedestal where I can't get people to hit me off when I hit them off. Why are you asking me to do something you wouldn't be asking Antonio or Yvette to do? The man asked me to fall back. Asked me. He didn't ask me to fall back. He told me. His tweet said, so you don't have to sell shirts no more. Okay. What that mean? What if I want to? Again, I'm still waiting to see how the hell that's supposed to be disrespect. And why is it that I owe him something that he doesn't necessarily owe me? I've not asked Antonio to market any of my stuff or even come visit my channel. I would love it if he did, right? I would be honored. But I don't owe him anything more than the respect due to somebody who helped clarify a concept for me that I needed clarification for, which I've constantly given him. And you're right, Harold, this is an unnecessary distraction or whatever the case may be. But if I say it, I'm belittling other people's responses to this. So it obviously isn't that unnecessary, right? I think personally that the ownership model of this concept is not going to work, right? That's just factual. I don't own ADOS, and no one really does. As a matter of fact, the genie's kind of out of the bottle even as we speak. And the only reason why this is coming up as an issue is because individuals are trying to make it an issue. They're not making it about anything factual. They're making it about personality, right? Notice the terms that keep getting used, that I'm somehow stealing from Antonio and Yvette, that I'm an opportunist, that I look shady, that I look suspect, that I'm being disrespectful. All of these things are shaming terms, right? They can't, no one has established that any of these people that are marketing products that may have ADOS on it are just completely mercenary. How can you know that unless they tell you anyway? And even if they were to tell you that they were being mercenary, what's the problem? If people want to purchase it, if they want to buy it, they want to show their solidarity, or they want to just, they like the way it looks or whatever, how are we going to stop people from doing that? Why is it that certain individuals feel like they can tell people to not support other people's stuff? Because if I stopped offering the mugs and things like that, fine. I could turn it off today, right? But I'm still going to be advocating for ADOS, only now I may not get as much support because people don't get any tangibles. People like holding stuff in their hand. They like wearing something on their back and so on and so forth. I think that I have just as much a right to offer that, even if it says ADOS on it or whatever the case may be, as anyone else. That's all that I was trying to say. This ownership model is not going to work. And this is not disrespectful. This is factual. So, thank you. I have my little chat bot. It says, pick up your Black Outcast Media and unofficial ADOS merch here and support the channel. Unofficial. I've made it clear 1,000 times, right? So asking somebody who barely makes $50 a month off of his little, good question, black man. I'm not trying to be shady here, but you might want to ask about it. Because if this is about ownership, at what point does our advocacy become basically copyright infringement? Like, I'm not belittling the subject, and it's not an unnecessary distraction. If I don't address it today, it will be addressed at some point because people are going to make it an issue. As you've seen throughout the chat here, I've had people make accusations against me with no evidence. They have no evidence that I'm doing anything other than what I've been doing. Yet it looks inappropriate to them. It seems off-brand, right? They feel that I'm shady, that I'm being an opportunist or whatever the case may be. It's going to become an issue. And for us to act like it won't, I think is doing the disservice, not just to people who are content creators and advocates and producers of products and services. This person that has the ADOS app, I may not support the app because I might have an issue with the app I don't know nothing about. But if it's on the Google Play Store and it's been vetted by Google, you download, Angry Birds and other shit. Why not download that and support, support that? What's the problem with somebody creating an ADOS app? Other than your suspicions that it might be like the government or whatever the case may be. I just don't see it. Who am I, Mr. Black? I'm Mark Black, aka Mark Gillespie. I've mentioned my government name on the channel many times. And yes, my heritage goes all the way back to the descendants of slaves. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my great ancestor Grover Gillespie out of Henderson, Texas. And shout out to Hattie Beach out of the same. All of which are descendants of Americans, all of which are actually descendants, direct descendants of enslaved Africans, enslaved American black folk. So it is what it is. That's who I am. I'm a descendant, American descendant of slaves who supports and loves and advocates and fights for the American descendants of slaves. And if at such point in time, Antonio and Yvette have an issue with me offering my little chump change merch, not to belittle my merchandise, please. It's good stuff, right? Good quality stuff. But if they got a problem with a little no-name channel such as myself offering something that has ADOS on it, they know how to approach me, but they don't own me. They don't control me, and I don't follow them. I respect them. I esteem them. I listen to them. They influence me, but they do not rule me. And I think that that is going to have to be where I leave this, right? Now, positive shit. So, because I'm feeling better, of course, you know, Morning Joe is going to be back on first thing in the morning. Weather's been super nice out here, so I'm going to do a walking Joe, right? You know where I be out there doing my thing, right? So make sure you stay tuned for your Morning Joe. Please, family, if you so desire, I have Black Sheep and unofficial ADOS merchandise on my the links is in the description. You also will see a link here that I'm gonna pop up into the chat, right? Pick it up. It supports my work. I would definitely appreciate it. Again, no pressure. You support or not support as you see fit. There are also links if you just want to shoot a brother a tip, right? You know what I'm saying? I love you, family, and I love all of our proponents, advocates, anybody who's stepping up into the arena to fight for me and mine, for us and you and yours. I support, I respect. You see what I'm saying? It is what it is. So until Morning Joe, which will be the next time I see you, family, I want to wish you all love, peace, prosperity, and power. Real power to our people.